Okay, guys, we're going to visit at Scruff. Now, this one's for Ben. Let's salute to you, my kid. Hope life's good. And let's jump into this. Good morning, Scruff. I assume you had a good Star Wars packed weekend. You tell me. Look at that. Of course I did. Started with the prequels. I'll get onto the originals when I come back off holiday, but I watch them all the time, in fairness. Yes, we had a very good Star Wars weekend. I wanted your opinion on strength meters. The trade that you see rule works for me perfectly. However, I can be reluctant to pull the trigger on when I see that one currency is outperforming the other on my chart. Would that be telling me otherwise? Perhaps adding strength to the equation is unnecessary. Yes, it is. I use a strength sheet a lot. You know that. Anybody who's watching me for a while knows I work the strengths out myself. Does the strength tell me the direction? The answer is no, it doesn't. What it tells me is volatility, and it's telling me whether or not there's movement in the market. So if you've got two sort of, I think the easiest way to describe this is imagine a Bollinger Band. When it's compressed, it can stay compressed for quite a while, but it's waiting for that explosion. But in the meantime, the price doesn't move very far. Well, if you've got two assets and you've got one that's slightly stronger than the other, but they're actually very close in strength, they're doing this. The button heads, eventually they're going to explode and pull away from each other. But at the moment in time, if they're sitting like that, there's not a lot of motion going on. So in that respect, it helps me target. It just says, yeah, one's not really pushing the other one out. I'll just keep my targets relatively sort of low key, just in case I'm wrong and the explosion comes. Now, if they're on the extremes of each other, one of you seems to be far stronger than the other. Well, what you got to remember is, again, like a Bollinger Band, it might be at the outer extreme. So if you see one that's incredibly strong and another one that's incredibly weak, and they haven't moved from that position, they've only got one way to go, and that is inward. So strength is like a Bollinger Band, and it's why I like Bollinger Bands a lot, because it can show you a lot of what's going on. And the Bollinger Band is a key player for me when I'm actually working strengths out, because I look at the Bollinger Band, I look at what's happening with the RSI, I look at Elliott waves, and then I put them across multiple time frames, and it gives me this framework of strength. And that's all a strength meter does. It just looks at multifacets and then pulls in an average. Well, that average will take time to play out. So if they're sitting together, we're not rightly sure how long they're going to sit there for. So you can only just assume it's going to happen for the next day. And then tomorrow, they might slightly widen out and slightly widen out, just the same as a bolly. So look at them more as a secondary confirmation of target rather than direction. If they're far apart, there's going to be movement. If they're sort of 3/4 in each, they've still got room to move. If they're sitting on top of each other, the explosion's coming, but you don't actually know when. Okay, catch you soon.